So the next step is to make the while loop repeat not forever, but we want it to stop when the player guesses. To do that, I'm going to introduce a new data type. So let me go back to the console, the Scrapple that I've been using as a scrap piece of paper to demonstrate things, to test things out. And so far we've seen 3 data types. The integer, for example, my number equals 12. The float, so that's a whole number. A float is not a whole number. Another number equals 2.2. And then a string. For example, my name equals Bob. Let's go for Bob. I'm not Bob, but never mind. And as a reminder, I can find the type of data. My number is an integer, type another number is a float, and type, what do I call it? My name is a string. There are lots more data types. We're going to look at one more here. So we've already seen this data type, but I haven't given it a name. Let's assume I want to say, is it sunny at the moment? So I'm creating a variable. I'm choosing to calling it is sunny. A box labeled is sunny. And we've seen true or false pop up already a couple of times. We've seen it when I've used equals equals. And I've used it in the while loop. I've put while true. True or false are actual constants. There are things in Python. They have their own data type. So let me put is sunny is true. It's sort of true where I am today. So is sunny, oops, is true. So what type of data is sunny? It's a Boolean. This stands for Boolean. I'm named after someone with a surname of Boole. Doesn't matter. A Boolean is a data type in Python. It exists in other programming languages as well, that only has 2 values, true or false. And we use this often when something can only have 2 values. We have to phrase it as true or false. So that's why I said is sunny. The answer is true, it is, false, it isn't. And we'll see that there are often cases in programming where we want something to only have 2 values. And that's where we would use the Boolean data type. Now, why is this going to be useful? Let's see. I'm going to, just before the while loop starts, notice how when we write code, we don't write it from line 1 to line 22. We sort of go and add lines of code wherever we need them. In this case, I want something before the while loop starts. So I'm going to go before the while loop and add a new variable. Let me call it game running equals, and I'm going to put a Boolean. And this is the variable. I'm using it as a switch, if you like. I'm saying, is the game running? And initially I'm turning it on to on, true. The game is running. And instead of while true, I'm going to write while game running. Now remember, game running is a variable. It's a box labeled game running. Inside is the Boolean true. So line 12 is the same as it was before. Instead of writing true, I've written game running, which is the same as true. So you might think, why write more code when I don't need to? We'll see why in a bit. Now, how does the while loop work? The while loop will say, oh, you want me to run this. Is game running true? Yes. So I'm going to run this code. Do whatever it needs to do. When it finishes on line 21, it goes back to line 12 and says, let me check again whether game running is true. Yes, it is, because it's always true, right? I'm not changing it. But what if somewhere inside the loop, under certain conditions, I change game running so that instead of being true, it has false? Now, that will stop the while loop, because then the while loop will come back here and say, game running is false. You don't want me to carry on looping, so I'm going to move on. Now, where do I want to do this? I want to do this in this block. When the player guesses correctly, this is when I want to turn the switch off, if you like. And to turn the switch off, all I have to do is say game running is equal to false. A reminder, I can't have 2 variables with the same name. I can't have 2 boxes with the same label. So when I say game running equals false, the box that before had true, the true goes. It's gone in the bin, if you like. Game running is now false. It cannot have 2 values. So from now on, game running is false. So when this line happens, this will only happen when the player guesses correctly. When the loop goes back to check, it's going to say, no, I've finished. Let's see. Stephen? So I know that the goblin is in position 3. So let me get it wrong first a couple of times. 1, no, the goblin is not there. 2, no, the goblin is not there. 4, now let me put 3, which is the correct answer. Well done, you've done really well, and notice that the game has now ended. The program has ended, in fact. Process finished, exit code 0. Lovely way of saying I'm done. So the while loop ran once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. But on the 4th attempt, I got the answer right. So it stopped repeating. And I can go at the end of the while loop. Now, same as with the if statement, if I want something to happen after the while loop ends, I need to remove all indents. You can see that the cursor is now in line with the W of while. So it's no longer part of the loop. So whatever I write now I'm going to write game over. Doesn't matter whether you won or lost. Yeah, we're just going to write game over, whatever. Just keep it simple. Stephen, once again, 1, 5, 4, and now I'm going to put 3, which is the correct answer. And you can see I have well done, you've done really well, but now I also have game over printed. The last line will be printed after the while loop. Once the while loop ends, this chunk of code, once it finishes running, so the moment while game running is false, Python will say, good, you no longer want me to repeat. Let me see what's next. And what's next is print game over. So now we have a game that allows us to keep trying until we get it right.